podcast in which two friends get together and just casually chat about video games for about an hour.
That's us.
That's us. I am Jason Vandervoort, once again joined by my good friend Jeff Ross.
Hello.
How you doing today, bud?
You know, I'm doing pretty good.
I'm glad to hear it.
It's a nice sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
We had some good fast food breakfast.
We did.
You know, great for
we've started the day off about as right as you can.
Yep. It was a tasty treat.
It was. Yeah, and it's a bright and sunny day outside. A good day to stay indoors.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the air quality index is still. It was bad yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, where we are in northern Minnesota, we've been getting a lot of the stuff from the wildfires that are up in Canada. Mm-hmm. And so our air quality has kind of been in that intermediate risk area. Mm-hmm. And but it at least, when I took Einstein for a walk, our public relations officer, it seems better. Hopefully.
Yeah. Today it didn't smell quite as smoky as yesterday.
I know. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I was talking about it last night with some of the guys I work with, and it's just, in my memory, I can't remember a thing like that happening here,
Yeah, not really. No, not so bad that it was smoky.
Exactly.
It smelled smoky.
Right.
My aunt called yesterday, and she lives about 3 hours away driving south, and she was saying she could smell smoke too.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
It's wild out there. Mm-hmm. It's wildin'.
Wildin' indeed.
Wildfiring.
I get it.
Stay safe out there, squirrels.
Word. Squirrels and all manner of creatures above and below them in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. There's raccoons.
There's raccoons. There's ants.
And there's deer.
Deer. Uh-huh.
Should we just name all the animals?
Even the lowly human.
Yeah.
It's simple.
I guess they can stay safe too.
I guess. Weirdos. But all right, bud. It's been a minute. What have you been playing in that minute?
Oh, it's been a long minute.
That's been a long minute.
But recently, especially, I've been playing a lot of Guilty Gear Strive, which has been just a delight.
Yes, indeedy.
A few days ago, Gold Lewis Dickinson came out. Mm-hmm. He is a rotund Secretary of Defense with he wields a coffin
that has like spikes on the end of it that makes it look like a meat pounder thing. Does that
tenderizer?
Tenderizer.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just thinking that tool has to have a name. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't remember it.
And within that, it's labeled Area 51, and there is some kind of unidentified magical animal within that he refuses to believe is an alien, but, it's probably an alien, let's face it.
We were talking about this the other day when Gold Lewis came out, and it's largely a thing that I've experienced in fighting games more than really any other genre. And I love it when fighting games have a cast of characters, that are from all across the world. Mm-hmm. I love how they almost always depict Americans. Just the depiction of Americans in fighting games,
Japanese fighting games,
is hilarious to me.
He is, yeah. Well, I don't know if there's people thought originally he was the hamburger guy from the last game who would just it was a cowboy with
he's just kind of one of the background characters,
a bag of a grocery bag of
hamburgers
that he was just eating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they thought maybe it's his cousin or something like that.
With how interconnected the lore in Guilty Gear is, that would not surprise me just in the slightest.
Yeah. He is my new main, basically.
Just the idea of a guy who works, for Area 51, essentially, and has an alien with him.
Yeah.
Refuses to admit that it's an alien.
It's pretty funny.
It is, yeah.
At the end of the round, if you win, the opponent gets abducted, and he's very confused.
Yeah, he because his back is always turned. He gets a phone call, and so he's basically just being like pranked,
Yeah.
by aliens.
Yeah.
Just because of whatever. I mean, after a while, he's got to think that, he should probably just stop answering his phone when he's, in the middle of an operation.
He goes, "How do they always run away so fast?"
It's such a joy to watch. Yeah. Get such a big kick out of it.
Absolutely. And I mean, even before he came out, I was playing just tons of it. Fighting online. Really enjoying Guilty Gear Strive. The animation is beautiful. I love the fighting mechanics. The Roman cancels are really cool, as well as the kind of somewhat slowed down, but still true Guilty Gear in my,
right.
eyes, I guess. But it's been a hell of a good time. You've been enjoying it too, right?
I have been. Yeah. It's not uncommon here at the Electric Boogaloo household. Just the
Jason, actually, I don't know. Jason did move in with Techie here.
Yep. We did mention that in the last episode, because I think last time we recorded, I think Techie and I had basically been in for what amounts to maybe like a week.
Okay.
And so I think we had just moved in, and so now it's been a couple of months, and so it's not uncommon here where in the morning I'll descend from the loft, and Jeff and I'll play either a few rounds of Guilty Gear or one of the other games that you've been playing recently, which has been the new Mario Golf.
Absolutely. Mario Golf Super Rush. I don't play the Super Rush game modes. It's purely classical
Fundamental golf.
I'll throw on the special shots only for posterity, I guess.
Yeah, flavor. Because there's some ways that, in a kind of in a more of a party game setting, it can kind of add an extra dimension of fun to it. It's a shame because, when I first saw the trailers for the game, the two new modes that it had introduced, which is that kind of golf race mechanic. Speed golf. And then the arena golf.
Yeah, the battle golf.
Both of those seemed just like super fun twists on kind of the golf game genre, I guess. But I mean, within the first couple weeks of you having the game and us trying, all three modes. Right. Excuse me. I don't know. Still, at the end of the day, the core golf game was still the most fun.
Right. I've tried the story mode as well, and that kind of gets old quick. You're just kind of going through the motions. After
just a very lengthy tutorial on how to play Mario Golf.
Pretty much. It's kind of a dry, almost like an homage to the Game Boy Mario Tennis, but at the same time, it's not really fleshed out as much as it could be.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's been fun to play a golf game again.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder like how much I would enjoy like the true sports golf games, because I have been really digging just Mario Golf, and before that came out, I was prepping for it with some Golf Story.
Right. I love Golf Story so much.
It's a great game.
I'm the name of the studio escapes me, but their next game, Sports Story, is like the expanded version of what Golf Story is, where they introduce tennis. There's like one or two other sports.
I know they have like American football in there.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember if was there basketball also?
I don't know.
I don't remember, but that's a good example of, when that kind of sports story thing is done a little bit better. Just like the humor and the balance of everything in Golf Story is fantastic. I still need to finish Golf Story, actually. It was the first game that I bought for my Switch.
Oh.
Yep.
I did manage to finish that. Not that it was difficult or anything. It's just it was a fun little adventure.
Yeah.
Pretty funny too.
Right. sports games are a thing that I've just so rarely played.
Yeah.
When it comes to like golf games, there was Hot Shots Golf.
Oh yeah, with Ryan. And
which we
Mary
played with
or
Ryan and
whatever.
Mary. But when it comes to that kind of true, simulation
Yeah.
kind of sports game, I mean, closest I've gotten is the wrestling games.
Oh sure.
Yeah, so
Those are fun.
they are. Yeah, they're a great time.
We've talked about those, but
Yeah, I've never played or seriously played, one for football or golf or anything. I think we tried a basketball one when I think one of the NBA 2K games was free on PlayStation Plus. But it's just one of those things that I've been interested in, but I've never really, committed to looking into fully.
NBA Courtside was a heavily played game for me in 64 days. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Lots of slam dunks.
Nice.
A completely overpowered Charlotte Hornets roster. That was me trading. I'll take Shaq and Kobe Bryant and anyone whose name I recognize, which is not that many people. And then, just all running around. And for some reason, I liked the Hornets.
I was about to say, why the Charlotte Hornets?
I don't know. I think it was actually, I do remember. It was because my favorite player, Muggsy Bogues, was a Charlotte Hornet.
Does not sound like a real person's name. They sound like a character that is basically like an informant in an old detective story.
It does.
I'm going to go see if Muggsy Bogues has any idea about what's going on with these murders.
He was the shortest basketball player at the time.
At the time.
I don't know if he would probably still be the shortest one if he were playing. I think he was only like 5'11" or 6 foot, which
okay. So he's our height basically. Yeah, because I'm 5'10".
Okay.
So he's just ever so slightly taller than me.
And his whole thing was his ball handling was very good, and so he'd be sneaky, and like there's like him going under people's legs and stuff like that. I don't know if that was true or if that was just in the cartoons, but I know he was one of the Space Jam players.
Was he really?
Yeah. He was the real short one. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That takes me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I haven't watched the original Space Jam in forever.
But you've seen the new one like 10 times,
yeah.
right?
No.
You can't even. No, you haven't.
No.
Okay.
I haven't even seen it once yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
me
tempted.
neither.
I was tempted just for the sheer curiosity of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're the target audience, honestly. In my
we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
The
no
nostalgic people.
Yeah.
But no, and I would play sports games a little bit growing up. Like I had like Madden 2004 and the Minnesota Mountain Lions was my custom team. They and then once again just maxed out stats. No sense of like fairness in my bones at the time. It was just like 99 offense, 99.
You just wanted a dynasty.
Yeah, that's right. Just a real dominant team.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, as I grew older, the sports games kind of died off a little bit. But
Sure.
it was, what it was too. It was something that'd be fun to rent back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like I'll play some golf. Why not?
Right. Yeah, something that you could play for maybe a weekend.
Yeah.
And then you return it, which is not so much a thing that you can do anymore.
Right.
With I think it makes you possibly less adventurous in the games that you try out, because
sure.
Unless you happen to catch it on a really deep sail, any game that you can get is going to be probably a bigger financial investment than just renting it.
That's right. And I want it's just they've gotten. I mean, they're still expensive. It's mostly because the brick and mortar rental stores have shut down, that they don't offer it anymore. But,
right, exactly.
Yeah, it would be now they got like the streaming services like
Right.
PlayStation Now and stuff. But,
Yeah. Which you have to have immensely good internet to make
Right.
those even viable. And it's, we have good internet here.
it has been spotty lately.
It has been.
I'll be
Yeah.
frank. I
Yeah.
need to call our provider and
Yeah.
give them a talking to.
Exactly. Give them a piece of your mind.
Absolutely. Just I swear I'll switch to other provider.
Just give me a reason, motherfucker.
You think you matter to me? Oh god. Jason, what have you been playing?
So, kind of like with how last episode, you had just started playing Guilty Gear
Oh.
and whatnot. Also for this episode, my games that I've been playing is not very different. I did beat Mass Effect 1, and I've been
Nice.
going through Mass Effect 2, but I kind of dropped off on that recently
Sure.
just because I got far more invested in getting to the end of Trails in the Sky Part 1.
Okay.
And I am on like the last dungeon of that right now. So I
yeah.
mean, if I buckle down, I'll have it beat. I could possibly beat it today, if I so chose. But
Yeah.
and so I'm in that mode now where it's just like, what's the next game to play? And so I'm debating on if I just dig back into Trails and go into Trails in the Sky Part 2, or if my next game is going to be Fire Emblem Awakening.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been feeling the pull back to Fire Emblem.
Do you have your 3DS charged and ready to go?
My 3DS is still at my old house.
Oh.
Haven't fully moved everything here yet. But I figure, if I decide that I want to, play Fire Emblem, all it takes is a quick drive to go over there and
Yeah.
pick up a couple of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the binding thread between, my two games that I've had the most interest in recently, and what ends up kind of being the topic of the episode is they're both games that you play on a handheld.
That's right.
Yeah.
Handheld console
Right.
video games.
Exactly. Yeah.
For some mobile games has been taken by
Cell phones and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I've just been just kind of the time that I've been gaming and the way I've been dedicating the time to gaming has changed recently in that, I just kind of have been enjoying, having in the case of Trails, I've been playing it on my PlayStation Vita. So I'll just, just kick back in bed, put my headphones on, play my Vita, for an hour or two before bed. And it's just been just supremely like comforting and, laid back.
Yeah, right. Like it's a bit of a relaxing ritual.
It is. Yeah. That's kind of been the place where gaming has taken me recently. It's just kind of been my relaxation ritual, just kind of the way that I calm down after a day of whatnot. So, and I think a handheld has really tailored itself to that. It's actually very similar to kind of when I was a kid.
Sure.
Like after I had my first couple of handheld consoles, that was also kind of my, my wind down thing. After getting home from school, dinner, homework if I had it and whatnot, and then okay, go to bed. Especially because if I had a console that was plugged into the TV, because my mom's room was not far away.
Yeah, you couldn't like sneak over there and
she
play
could.
it.
Yeah, she could potentially hear if I was
Yeah.
playing a game, on my TV. But if I just had my Game Boy,
Sneaky.
exactly. Yeah, I was what you would call a model student in shop. So, yeah. So I don't know. That's been kind of a fun. I don't know.
It's a blast of the past.
A little bit. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And actually, speaking of blast of the past, there's a shop not too far from us that sells old games, old consoles, and some old like sports memorabilia
Okay.
and whatnot. And I've bought a couple of old consoles from
sure.
them. Yeah, so I bought an old Game Boy Advance SP,
Nice.
which was probably thinking back on that, the Game Boy Advance SP is probably my favorite like handheld console ever.
Yeah,
I just think I don't know. I loved everything about the design of that thing,
Sure.
and it's entirely possible that my original SP is somewhere.
Sure.
Somewhere in either the depths of the basement or the heights of the attic at my mom's house, but yeah, it sure isn't with me now, you know.
Right.
But.
Yeah, I was going through stuff at my folks' house, and I found like Game Boy games.
Did you really?
Not all of them, but like some classics, like Mario Tennis, for example.
Ooh.
You know, and it makes me wish that I could find my Game Boy Color or something and back into those.
I really wish I could find my Game Boy Color also. You know, just even if it doesn't work anymore,
Sure.
I'd like to have it.
Yeah.
You know, as just kind of that
nail it to the wall.
basically, or put it in one of those kind of framed boxes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my first handheld console was that kind of semi-clear purple Game Boy Color.
I had exactly the same one.
You did, really?
Yeah.
Nice. And my first game with it was Pokemon Blue.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I got the two of those together for my 8th birthday.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah. And it's just you give that to an 8-year-old in the 90s and you can just pick out a space on your wall for your parent of the year plaque because your child is like, "Oh my god."
Absolutely. My first Game Boy was also for my birthday.
Okay.
It had to have been the 7th or 6th birthday or something like that, and it was the clunky gray Game Boy.
Oh, the original Game Boy.
And
there you go.
My first games were Super Mario Land 2,
Cool.
the 6 golden coins, and something else, but I ended up losing that Game Boy on a plane. Have I ever mentioned that on the podcast?
I don't know.
We went to Disney World when I was 8,
Okay.
so that's why I know it wasn't that birthday.
Okay.
I guess. And I fell asleep, but before I fell asleep, I put it in the little pocket in front of me in the plane. And when it was time to go, it was like, "Jeff, get up, let's go!" And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and walk out. And yeah, we didn't get it back, but and so Killer Instinct was in the game at the time. Just funny to think of an 8-year-old playing Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct on the Game Boy.
Yeah, I was a Spinal man.
Spinal.
Absolutely, the man is just a skeleton of pure cool.
Skeleton of pure cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then eventually my parents relented and got me a replacement Game Boy.
Fine, we'll get you another one.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mom.
Yeah.
It was the
Yep.
purple Game Boy Color. Yeah. I also, I remember playing Pokemon Blue too.
Yep.
And, for a while, I was playing that. One day I got sick, and my mom asked me for something. She's like, "Is there anything I can do? Do you want a game or something?" Oh, and this was the only time I remember her just offering that.
Sure.
And I was like, can you get Pokemon Red? So I had Pokemon Blue and Red, and so when I first played Red, I was a little disappointed because it was exactly the
Basically
same as
the
Blue.
same game.
I didn't realize that until
Barring, some differences in the Pokemon that you can find, they
Right.
are pretty much identical.
sure you can get Scyther, but
Yep, Scyther is in red.
uh,
And you got Pinsir in blue.
not nearly as cool.
Ooh.
Oh, Jason really didn't like that comment.
I think Pinsir's a plenty cool Pokemon.
Pinsir is like the bug with the two horns.
Yeah, the big beetle,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. What a piece of shit. Scyther is cool as hell.
I will definitely say that Scyther is a cooler Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But I still
You think
maintain that Pinsir is cool.
All right. I won't argue much more. But
My favorite of them would be Heracross, though. That's like the blue beetle. That was in 2nd gen.
second gen.
Pshaw.
It's first gen or nothing really.
I get it.
I'm not a huge Pokemon fan anymore.
okay.
I was when I was a little kid.
Again, yeah, just for most kids, yeah, most '90s kids, yeah, definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was just such a huge phenomenon.
I had a what are they called? Oh my god, Pokedex book.
Yep, I did too.
Yep, and I just studied that thing like it were the Bible.
Yeah, basically. This is gonna be not super off topic, but kind of off topic. How much did you get into Digimon?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
I watched the cartoon. I'm like, a little bit.
Okay. So like, my two like really close friends when I was of that age, we watched Pokemon, super into it. And then we started watching Digimon, also super into it. And so, with Pokemon, you were able to play the games on, Game Boy Color and whatnot. But with Digimon, you had the Digivices, which was basically, a Digimon flavored Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
And so I remember, I definitely remember us, all having Digivices. And I also had a semi-clear purple Digivice. And they had like those little pixelated Digimon on there, and you could actually connect the Digivices together and whatnot to have a little Digivice battle.
Wow.
I don't know. I thought they were cool as shit. That's another thing that I would absolutely love to find.
Oh, sure.
I mean, if I'm able to find that Game Boy and that Digivice, they're going in a box together on a display, just so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly add that my Pokemon Pokedex book, in the first page, it says this belongs to, in crayon most likely, Dave Cool. that was my the coolest name I could think of.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. And if in crayon, even better. Oh my god, that's wonderful.
It's kind of funny, I guess, because we had a family friend named Dave, and I just thought he was the coolest guy, and I'm like, I'll be, my pseudonym will be Dave as well. And
what's the coolest last name?
Cool.
Just 8-year-old logic.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
God. Yep. It was a fun time.
That's
I never got into Digimon.
Okay.
I never got into the other Mons, if there were any.
I mean, I'd say like the biggest runner-up to that would have been Monster Rancher.
Okay.
Which I also loved, but Monster Rancher didn't really get the same imprint on gaming. Let's say,
right.
Like if it had to be, Pokemon is naturally at the top, then Digimon, then Monster Rancher, and kind of my own approximate ranking of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now Monster Rancher was the one that had like the Mike Lebowski character, right? From
the big eyeball guy.
Yeah,
yellow.
Yes.
That took me a while to like. The fuck are you? Oh, yeah. No, that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh god, the name of that monster escapes me.
That's okay.
Yeah. It might come back to me.
They had the classic scene where it was two of those guys playing cards, and the good guy won because he looked at the reflection of the other eyeball in his cards or whatever. So
it doesn't seem like the good guy thing to do.
I think
what
that's
moral ambiguity.
Yeah. Just hackers, Yeah, so I had the Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Yep.
Those are good times. I never did get a Game Boy Advance.
Okay. See, I did. The Game Boy Advance was actually the first console I was able to buy with my own money.
Oh, nice.
You know, and that's kind of been so like kind of how I was saying. You know, I'd love to find my Game Boy Color because you know some of my handheld consoles have almost always been ones that I've got with my own money.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that I probably at the time sold my Game Boy Color to get my Game Boy Advance.
Sure.
You know, and so like that cycle ended up repeating.
Sure.
You know, so I probably then would have sold my original Game Boy Advance to get my SP.
DS or something.
Yeah.
Or an SP, yeah.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. So right around I think the DS is when I started keeping them. You know, that I could remember, because I think that's around when I first started kind of getting that inclination that it's just, you know, that there's some benefit to probably keeping these.
Yeah.
I guess for no other reason than just kind of not like in a historian sort of way,
Yeah.
but just, you know.
It's a nostalgic thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Partially. Like, just because... No, I remember my parents always were... That was their big... and I've even said it on the podcast before, I'm sure, but that was their, like, bargaining chip, usually. I'm like, well, if you want to buy a Nintendo 64, you have to sell your Super Nintendo. And I'd always be like, no, I can't. You win this around, Mom. Yeah. And then...
Dave Cool would not stand for this.
Yeah, so... eventually, you know, I'd be like... Then I had a big talk one day, a heartfelt, I'm like, it's like a sequel. It's not, you don't throw away your old book because you bought a new book, you know. It's like, oh, I don't know.
Those early instances, you know, when a child first kind of starts to learn how to bargain with their parent. Yeah, that's, and if you're, you know, a nerdy gamer child, yeah, I probably had, you know, similar. Similar. Actually, yeah, I talked about this.
The Mortal
Kombat thing. Yeah, I talked about it in the Mortal Kombat episode. So yeah, we both have those when you look back on them. Incredibly nerdy heart-to-hearts that you attempted to have with your parents. And probably in the moment they're like, oh, Jesus. Why didn't our kid get into hockey?
Yeah, right? Oh, man. So... We had... I'm going to guess Pokemon. What's your favorite Game Boy game, Jason?
My favorite, yeah, on like the original Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
It probably would have been Pokemon Silver. You know, just I poured countless hours into that. It still probably remains like probably one of the games that I've put the most time into.
Right on.
But yeah, then going into the Game Boy Advance, that's, like I said, since it was also the first one that I bought with my own money, that's also probably when like I started to kind of really learn what kind of games I liked. Sure. As opposed to just, it's a video game, I'm gonna like it. Yeah. Like I'm now just remembering on the Game Boy Color, probably my really only runner-up for a game that would have been my favorite. I had a Godzilla game on the Game Boy Color. Class. The funniest thing though is like it more than anything, it was kind of like a puzzle game. Oh, really? You play as like this little chibi version of Godzilla, and you basically navigate these little mazes. Okay. You know,
and each time you take a step, 10,000 people die. Or
there's like none of them take place in a city or what look to be. Yeah. Okay. And I don't know. So it's a very interesting kind of game to have Godzilla in, but
yeah. Go figure.
Yeah, but you know that's probably, like I said, on Game Boy Color, probably one of the only things that I
you played as much.
Yeah. But yeah, when I first bought my Game Boy Advance, the first game I bought for that was Castlevania: Circle of the Moon, which that started my love of Castlevania games and Metroidvanias, you know, in general. Right. So, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, and so that's also where I started. I don't know, really kind of finding the games that I liked is through.
Yeah. When I got a Nintendo DS, then I could finally go back and play Game Boy Advance games. And
right, because it had the Game Boy Advance slot. And that was probably one of my biggest motivators to selling, like, say, my SP or something, is just,
there's no reason to keep
exactly. It. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
I ended up giving my DS to our friend Travis.
Oh,
Yep.
that's right.
Yeah, back when we were living together, so he could play Pokemon.
Right on. God, I remember. Yep. I'm afraid of repeating stories, but
Yeah.
just he was going for that Dragonite or something
God,
while we were throwing knives at my shed in the backyard.
Again, why didn't our kids get into hockey?
God.
But
So cool.
so
Dave Cool smiles upon us. That kid's throwing knives. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I got to play Metroid Zero Mission, which was my first 2D Metroid on Game Boy
It was
Advance.
okay. So even before Super Metroid.
Yeah, I never
Cool.
got to play Super Metroid until I got it for the Wii or whatever. the
Oh,
Wii shop.
really?
Um,
Didn't they do a remake of Super Metroid on the Game Boy Advance?
that was the first Metroid that they remade, and that's what Zero Mission was.
Okay.
And
Gotcha. And then there was also Metroid
Fusion.
Fusion.
for
Gotcha.
the-
Okay, now
yeah.
I gotcha.
And I never owned Fusion, but I played it, I borrowed it or whatever and played it. But good times were had by all. You know, the Zero Mission was just so cool to me. You know, it
Yeah.
ended with like a stealth section where you lose your suit, which they never had in the first game or whatever.
Right.
And then you find like your Varia suit in a shrine to the Chozo where it, like, they had a prophecy. I'm spoiling the end of Zero Mission. I don't care. They had like a prophecy of a defender of the Chozo wearing the suit, you know, but
That's
you know they had
super cool.
already been dead anyway.
Right.
So
They were right, just probably not to the way they hoped they'd be.
and then you just put on the suit and like every shot just vaporizes these poor space pirates as you descend back through the temple or whatever.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that, once we started getting to like the Game Boy Advance era, and especially more when you got into the DS and 3DS, is one of the cool things that you could start seeing in handhelds was the fact that, you could actually see ports of games that had, been maybe on like a console generation or two ago.
That's
So
right.
for you were able to play Metroid. What was the original Metroid on?
Nintendo.
Just regular Nintendo. Okay. And I remember that I borrowed these, but I was able to play Super Mario World on the Game Boy Advance,
Yep.
as well as I forget which Mario it was, but it's the one where you could lift up the turnips.
Mario 2.
Mario 2. Thank
Yep.
you. So I was able to play these either exact ports or sometimes advanced, like kind of upgraded ports of these classic games, on a handheld.
That's
Which,
right.
at the time when you were able to start doing this, it felt just insanely cool, And it just, I don't know, felt very futuristic.
This is probably the first time when I was a kid when I became a purist for some of these games.
Really?
Like, which is not, it's like a dirty word to me now in a way. But like my friend wanted to play Link to the Past and never played it, and I'm like, well, you can't play the Game Boy version. You got to play a Super Nintendo version because
Really?
every time you swipe the sword in the Game Boy version, it's the little kid or the kid version of Ocarina's voice going, and so in that game, you're swiping like mad a lot of the time. So you just hear,
Okay, I can understand how that would get annoying.
yeah. I think it would be annoying.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
It's but it's such a good game. You got to play it.
Right,
Just turn the
yeah.
sound off. I
Yeah,
guess,
Link to the Past is a great game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
But yeah, that's when we started seeing those ports, and that's
Exactly. One of the biggest ones that I remember is on the Nintendo DS, where they had the port of Super Mario 64.
that was my first game. For
Exactly,
DS,
where you could, it was hugely expanded. excuse me, over the original, in which you could play also as Luigi,
Wario,
and Yoshi. Gotcha.
That's right.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's just super cool.
Yeah.
You know, just a really new and exciting way to play. You know, one of the most classic games of all time. And then when we get into the 3DS, you know, you got ports for Ocarina of Time, Zelda, and Majora's Mask.
That's right.
Which I've got the Ocarina of Time one, and that's another game that I'd probably love to play now on my 3DS would be Majora's Mask, because that game still is one of the ones that I've never. I want to.
I know. I've never beaten it either.
Yeah.
It's one of the few Zelda games I've never beaten. I guess. Well, there's a few, but
right.
Yeah. It's a tricky one because of all the masks you gotta get and all that, and so all the puzzles and whatnot. But
who knows? Maybe with the kind of newish way that I've been kind of playing and relaxing with games now, maybe that will suit Majora's Mask perfectly. You know, those kind of frequent, like, short sessions.
That's right.
Maybe that'd help.
If you ever want to borrow my copy, you know,
I might just have to do that.
You know, I know it wouldn't be far.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. The 3DS was a very cool upgrade. It wasn't a huge upgrade from the DS, really.
Not really. And what upgrades it did offer felt kind of corny.
Sure.
You know, sometimes when Nintendo, you know, brings forth a new console, the upgrades or the features that they intend to focus on can either be considered very cool and groundbreaking or corny.
Sure.
You know, 3DS was definitely on the corny side. I probably turned the 3D on my 3DS like once.
Oh, really?
You know, I tried it, you know, and it's just, after playing it for a little while, I didn't enjoy the look of it.
Sure.
You know? And so I've never really bothered with that since.
I can't leave that slider alone. I'm always like...
Really?
I'll keep it
constantly
on.
Fidgeting it with it?
And then I'm like, it's a little too much on my eyes. I'll turn it off.
Sure.
Then, well, maybe halfway, you know.
Right.
But, yeah. It's not like a important piece of hardware, you know, and that piece, the 3D thing, like, but I think that there's some fun games for 3DS, like you know, the first Smash 4 first came out for 3DS.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because I wanted to talk about Smash 4 a little bit. Yeah, that was just such a incredibly cool experience, you know, and that was one of the first times when it felt to me it felt like a console worthy game that was you know, available to us on a handheld.
That's right.
You know, that it wasn't a port of maybe an older game, but it was a brand new game.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, you know, Smash 4 on 3DS was incredibly fun.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely loved it.
It was a good time.
And it probably ruined countless thumbsticks for people's 3DS.
One of our friends, Sean, was always like, he was like a harbinger, like never play Smash. It's gonna break your thumbstick. You know?
Right.
I don't. Maybe I'm exaggerating.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Travis play on it? I seem to remember when we would play Smash 4 on the Wii U, he actually used his
it as a controller.
Yeah, because you could.
Yeah.
So so Sean and Travis were like two polar opposites of this viewpoint as to what Smash would do.
Yeah.
To your 3DS. No,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten about that until just now.
And then we enter the era of the Switch in the Nintendo world, at least.
Right, exactly.
Because I mean, you know, the PlayStation consoles were going on at the same time.
They were. The thing is, like, Sony has never really been able to match Nintendo with their handheld market. Neither did Sega. You know, back when Sega tried to do theirs. I mean, both companies, you know, made cool handhelds and had cool experiences on them, but just whatever Nintendo was able to kind of tap into with their handhelds, it's something that really no other company had been able to replicate.
I don't know anything about the Sega handheld.
There was the Game Gear, and I think there was
Okay.
one other that I'm forgetting about. I had tried a friend's Game Gear when I was a kid,
Okay.
but that's about the extent of it
Sure.
for me. And so I had a PSP briefly. I think I bought it off of a friend in high school. Had that briefly, turned around and sold it.
Okay.
And I bought a Vita several years ago. Basically, like many people, I bought my Vita purely to play Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And which is like, since, the console's been out for a long time, I mean, money well spent, given the fact that I've been able to really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And what has been really cool about the Vita, and kind of was ahead of its time, is, you could, your Vita and your PS3, can be connected.
Right.
And whatnot. And it can also connect to your PS4. So, so I was able to transfer games and save data that was on my PS3 onto my Vita.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to play that. And there was even a couple of times where I was able to, essentially screen sharing on it. So I was in the living room of my old house playing Persona 5. While my PS4 was in the other room.
Nice.
So the Vita had a lot of cool technology. I remember actually reading an article about the Vita not too long ago, back when kind of it was looking like Sony was going to shut down the shop and whatnot for the Vita, and basically just, cancel all support that it had been on. Because apparently, the Vita has a small but very dedicated player base. I don't know. I really like mine.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's what I've been playing Trails of Cold Steel on. Not Cold Steel, Trails in the Sky. And yeah, there's a lot of games that you can play on it. And, for a JRPG fan like myself, there's a treasure trove of games on that system.
Heck yeah.
Exactly.
The ones that bothered me that I couldn't play without buying a console, PSP or PS Vita, was the Metal Gear games. They had Portable Ops was on there, which apparently wasn't that good.
Sure.
But finally, Peace Walker came out for the PS3 as a port.
Yep. Yeah, when they did the Metal Gear HD trilogy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they also remake Snake Eater for the 3DS?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. They did that. Oh, crazy bastards.
They actually did it.
But it's crazy how much Portable Ops and Peace Walker actually affect the lore of the fifth game.
Right. Yeah. How big they are to Big Boss, especially.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's a little. I tried to even at one point watch a cutscene only Let's Play of Portable Ops, and that was not I was still missing so much, and
Right.
But so one day maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll emulate. I got shivers. Excuse me. But then maybe Peace Walker. I don't know. It's I never had a desire to play a PSP other than that.
Right.
I guess. But the Switch. We briefly went over what we're going to talk about before this episode, and you said,
because
"What's your
we
favorite?"
Prepare.
That's right.
we are practiced and professional podcasters.
Jason said that they would ask me what my favorite console was, and I started thinking about it. Favorite handheld, and I'm like, does the Switch count?
I would count it.
If so, then it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just the coolest little thing.
It's such a, like we were saying earlier about how Nintendo's design things that they focus on kind of be perceived as two ways. The Switch is just kind of that thing where it's just universally
accepted as very good.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, both people, like fans, people in the industry, are just like, those crazy bastards at Nintendo. They actually did it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, the Switch is a truly incredible console.
That's right.
You know? I remember, like, it was one of...
Being
Yeah, go
handed
for it.
$500 by Doug Bowser right now. Thank you. But, yeah, no, I'll split it with you.
Thanks.
20, 30.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't add up to 100.
It doesn't.
You don't worry about it. Okay. You already said okay.
Yep,
it's a verbal handshake.
I'm stuck with it. Yep, and
Yep.
it's on record.
What were you saying? Sorry, I cut you off to
You're
talk
right.
about Doug Bowser and his gracious tip.
Yeah, Doug Bowser is the current, like...
He's the Nintendo of America CEO.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I wasn't...
I don't remember the Japanese one right now, and
Yeah.
not that I would if I just
Right.
happened. It's easy to remember Bowser's name.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. The thing about the Nintendo, or the Nintendo Switch, especially from kind of for me, is because it, for a very very long time, Pokemon fans have been waiting and hoping for a true console quality Pokemon game, which we finally got with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Which after a while, reception and just kind of the overall fan appreciation of Sword and Shield has been mixed.
Sure.
But it is it was a full console quality Pokemon game,
Okay.
And it was nice because, the truly fantastic thing about the Switch is, you can have it plugged in on your TV or you can have it with you, and that's like, Steam with their new handheld console that they've just, at the time of our recording this, the pre-orders for that are open, and like we're starting to kind of see a lot of information about this console. They're trying to basically capture a little bit of that lightning in a bottle that Nintendo has.
Right.
With the Switch.
The Steam Deck. Yeah.
The Steam Deck. Yeah, correct.
And they've announced a portable mobile little
little
PC
handheld.
Game player. You know, pretty handy, not candy.
It's a
should I eat it?
apparently yes.
I'm gonna eat mine.
There you go. So So here's a question. I mean, you have a gaming PC. It is like 4 feet from us.
Yeah.
Now, like the Steam Deck is definitely, when I think about the target audience for that, it feels like me, to a T.
That's
someone who has been interested in PC gaming for a while, but hasn't been able to fully commit to it yet.
Yeah.
And also given, like we were saying at the beginning of the episode, just kind of the place that games have been taking for me right now.
Yeah.
Like, the Steam Deck seems just perfectly tailor-made for me.
Yeah, it seems that's like the most time you get to play games is when Techie goes to sleep, and then you sit down and play it.
Pretty
that's
much.
a good time.
Yeah.
She's got to wake up early for work, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, we're on kind of different schedules right now, so, playing games. I mean, even though when I have my headphones on, it can still be slightly distracting. So,
sure. Were you gonna ask me if I'm gonna get a Steam Deck?
yeah.
How much do they cost?
There's they've got a couple of different models, so the
really?
price point does fluctuate.
Okay.
But between let's just say 5-ish hundred.
Okay. Even before you said that outrageous price, I I was not gonna get one.
Right. Because again, it doesn't seem. Yeah.
I bought this PC just made it to a year old.
Did it? I suppose so. Yeah.
Around now, yeah.
Okay.
Like 10 seconds ago.
Happy birthday.
It and I haven't used it as much as I thought I would, honestly. But
Really?
I have used it, and
Yeah, no doubt.
It became very useful for online guitar lessons. I'll say
Right.
that.
Yeah, because throughout the just for extra bit of background, you know,
Yeah.
like throughout kind of the heaviest part of the lockdowns in 2020, your guitar lessons had all moved to virtual.
Yeah.
And so, of course, your PC, you know, was able to pull the double duty of you being able to do all of that.
So yeah, I was able to teach still, and was so that was handy.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I played a lot of Isaac. I played some Getting Over It. You know,
Yep.
some
Games that
Skateboard
truly test
XL or
the
whatever.
the
Yeah,
hardware of your
absolutely.
computer.
I thought I was gonna be like, yeah, when Cyberpunk comes out, you know, cutting edge game, cutting edge PC, let's go. Oh, it sucks. It's terrible. Never mind. Guess I'll just
Play Getting Over It.
yeah. Guess I'll go back to the consoles in the living room. But
Right.
yeah, when the Isaac DLC came out, I did play it a lot too, so that's good.
For sure.
But all that to say, yeah, I just thanks to the Switch, I've got my portable needs covered. You know?
Yeah, and your console needs covered for a wide majority of games. The biggest caveat that the Switch has is, you know, even though it can 100%, you know, meet your needs as if you want to just be like an at-home gamer or have your stuff on the go with you, certain games do not perform as well on the Switch.
It's kind of sad.
Exactly, yeah. So I know that, you know, if there's a new game that's coming out that I'm interested in getting, you know, I've got this thing of what console do I get it for?
Right.
And unfortunately, one of the things I have to look for is, for one, does it even perform well on the Switch? You know, when
Excuse me.
when Techie bought her Switch, and she got, you know, the Switch Lite, which is the purely handheld one that doesn't go on the dock. One of the first games that she bought for it was Witcher, Witcher 3. And unfortunately, The Witcher 3 does not run incredibly well on the Switch.
Has that deterred her a lot from playing it?
I think she ended up just turning around and selling it.
Oh.
Yeah, and so her focus has then been, you know, on some of the, you know, the indies and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, you know, games that are well within the console's specs to play well.
I can't believe it, but Enter the Gungeon doesn't run well on Switch.
Yeah, sometimes surprising games don't work well on it. A game that I kind of glossed over a few months ago, Ys 8, does not run well on the Switch. I think, you know, on PS4 and whatnot, it runs at full 60 frames per second. On the Switch, it runs at 30.
Okay.
You know, so the choice to what I would play it on became incredibly easy because of that.
Yeah. With Gungeon, it's either a frame rate drop or a graphical drop. And
Really?
Yeah, you have to choose which, you know, of the two you want. But yeah. No, at least Isaac runs really well in that.
Exactly.
Hopefully with Repentance, that'll come out in September for that, I believe. And you know what else is coming out is Metroid Dread. As of yesterday, it was 69 days away.
Nice.
And it was that I'm very excited for a new side-scrolling Metroid. A new console really cool. Metroid.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a minute since that
Absolutely.
happened.
It's been, I mean, the last Metroid game, which came out like at least 5 years ago.
That was on the 3DS, right?
Yeah, was a remake of 2.
Right.
And so that wasn't, and like I had already played through 2, so it's not like felt like a new experience. You know what I mean? Even I mean, you know, it had a lot of new features, but I never.
But it was still,
yeah.
It still felt similar to what you'd already encountered.
But Dread is a brand new thing, and what's the opposite of Dread? Anticipation.
You're feeling Metroid anticipation
Absolutely,
right now.
I am.
Yeah, and like, so I know there was just a press or a thing that they did for basically the upgraded Switch.
Yeah, the Switch OLED.
Yeah, right. And so I know it's supposed to have some slightly better specs or something like that. I didn't really look into it that much because again, like I'm not who the target audience is for that because
Yeah.
I already have my Switch and I
Right.
already love it, you know?
It's if it, there was a lot of speculation about them releasing a Switch Pro, and this
Right.
doesn't quite reach that height.
Exactly.
It has a bigger screen for the mobile version, of course, and
Yep.
then they replace one of the USB ports with a Ethernet
A
port.
dedicated Ethernet port, yeah, which for a lot of people, especially when Smash Ultimate came out, a lot of people bought a an Ethernet to
adapter,
USB
sure.
adapter, yeah, so they could, you know, attempt to make horrific netcode better
Yeah.
with mixed results. I never got mine to work properly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
who knows? Hopefully that could improve that. But
All in all, it doesn't it has no better processing power or anything
Right.
like that. No better graphical power.
sure,
So it's for first time buyers basically. Really, I don't think it's worth upgrading for anyone.
I get yeah. For people who currently have a Switch, I mean, who knows? It could possibly work for Techie because because she has the Switch Lite.
Sure.
Because so she doesn't have that option to put it on a
Right.
dock if she wanted to.
That makes sense.
Possibly that.
And
But
the OLED is the nicest screen available right now.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest draw to it is it would look nice. I think
Sure, sure.
when you it has deep blacks and it's
Just very visually appealing.
yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely not something that I'm, looking into getting. And going back to the Steam Deck, for a little while, I think, obviously, I like the idea of maybe having a handheld gaming PC. That's really cool
Yeah.
to me. But the biggest thing that I'm interested in regards to doing that, and we've kind of talked about it briefly before, with kind of PC gaming, but the idea that I like the most about getting something like that and kind of really dipping my toes into PC gaming is because it gives me something that has a greater feeling of being kind of future proof,
Okay.
So like I can, one of the things that we're starting to see this less and less now, but with console gaming and with handheld gaming, there was always this thing of when the next thing comes out, is your console and all of the games for it obsolete now?
Right.
Whereas with PC, especially if you're playing your games, like say on Steam and whatnot, sure, your PC itself may be getting better, but all of your games are still there. They are still playable, and you don't have to worry about, maybe your hardware becoming out of date and not being able to play it anymore.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, you could always keep your old consoles as well.
You can. But for some people, like, both you and I have entertainment centers that are getting full,
for sure.
And so we don't have the room, to keep all of those consoles, especially if you maybe for an afternoon you feel like going back playing something on your N64.
Right. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
No,
So I know
yeah,
for
like
me-
I've had my
yeah, go for it.
360 ever since I moved in. My
Yeah.
360 has been sitting on the entertainment center, and I've turned it on like one time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know. The idea of being able to have something that, I can see that, it could last me for quite a while, and I could have a game library that, I could feel like I could have with me for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. So all in all, like if since there's not a lot of stuff out for the PS5 yet that I'm interested in, and especially since the chip shortage that has really kind of
Yeah.
kind of crippled the
Yeah.
production of the PS5 and getting it out to people.
That's right.
It's entirely possible that I could see myself getting a Steam Deck before a PS5.
Sure. Well, I hope that the Steam Deck isn't crippled with production problems either.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that yet.
Yeah. Right now, they're still in the pre-production phase.
Yeah. So people are putting in pre-orders for it. I still need to do a tiny bit of research before I kind of fully commit to it. But as of right now, really the only thing that kind of has me semi-actively looking for a PS5 is for the New Horizon.
Sure.
Which, you know, because Techie and I were going to go in on a PS5 together because she really wants to get Horizon 2.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
So far, none of the games that I really, really want are, you know, aren't there for PS5 for me yet. Right. So, in that regard, I'm not too worried.
Yeah. I wanted to play Demon Souls, and I got to play Demon Souls, and I never finished Demon Souls, and I'm sorry, Demon Souls, but I'll get around to a Demon Souls later. And, I'm like, maybe I'll play the new AC. Assassin's Creed.
Valhalla. Yep.
Played it for 15 hours at most.
Sure.
For a 1,000,000-hour game, that's not much.
That's true. A friend of ours, Chase, who is going to be a future guest on the show, he put a lot of time into AC Valhalla, and we've talked about it before, and he is very ready to talk about AC Valhalla with us, and I'm ready to talk about it too. I'm ready for an Assassin's Creed episode. You know?
I think it'd be good.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to in the future is deep dive into the Assassin's Creed games.
Crash Bandicoot 4.
Oh yeah,
never finished that one. Basically, the PS5 game that I've gotten the most play out of is Strive.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's been your Strive machine.
Yes, and so the other games are all either PS4 and PS5, or you know, like the only exclusive game I have would be Demon Souls.
Right, exactly.
But all that to say is that come on, hit me with more games, PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully we're kind of gonna be getting into that a little bit more.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. But, Jeff, is there anything else that you can kind of think of for this episode?
I just want to say thank you to Nintendo for enabling me to play video games while I'm on the crapper. Is that the grossest way I can put it? While I'm going to stop.
You just realized that it's not. Not the grossest way you could say it, but it's the
limit of what I'm.
It's the limit of what you're able to. Yes, I get that. No.
But those were some good times.
Exactly.
You know, Game Boy, DS. I remember something that was definitely a feature of me playing Game Boy was finding about 11 different poses on the couch to sit in. While playing Pokemon,
yes.
Including like laying on the floor with my legs on the couch.
Okay, yep.
You know?
I'm sure I've probably done that too.
Just rolling around, like unable to be comfortable. Must play Pokemon.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just glad the Switch exists.
Me too.
You know.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that console, and it's just you know, kind of handheld gaming for me has been just kind of the biggest. I don't know. I can so much of my kind of big gaming like milestones and just the nostalgia that I feel for it. I definitely feel like is tied towards handheld gaming, just because it's like I was saying earlier, because they were the first consoles that I could start buying with my own money and start my own decisions as to what kind of games I was getting.
Absolutely.
You know, that's really kind of started showcasing the kind of games that I liked. And I don't know, I think it's been really I've enjoyed going back and thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. This has been a nice trip down memory lane.
No downstairs.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all listening.
Yes, indeed. I hope everyone's been doing well over the month that we've been kind of absent. And so, yeah, we're going to be getting back into the old regular groove with some more recording as time goes on. So, yeah, we'll be catching up with you all really soon.
All right. Bye.
There it is. That's what I wanted to hear. Later, everyone.